timing too, right here at Christmas. I like it. Anybody else this morning got a win? Something that you're thankful for? Anything at all?
Hey,
Hey,
Coach
Dusty,
Dusty, it's Mario.
There we go. Go, Mario.
I had something that happened. Last night was really a tough night sleeping. I just did not want to get out of bed today. But my schedule and my habit says you got to get up and you got to hit the ground running early. So I kind of dragged myself through a cup of coffee and got down at my desk and started making my calls. And the second call, I was able to get myself an appointment with an expired listing for $800,000. Now, who knows what's going to happen? We never focus on the outcome,
I
but
love
it
it.
was at least somewhat to shake my motivation to realize I got to continue with my habits every day.
That's exactly right. Hey, and Mario, had you not gotten up and made that call, you wouldn't have that opportunity, right? You wouldn't
That's
have that
right.
opportunity. Man, I love that. I love that. Dan wrote meeting with buyer at potential site for his project, which is awesome. Keith said grateful for this call. Man, I'm grateful for this call too, team. This call literally gets me moving every week. I know I'm the one who leads it, but I want y'all to know, man, like this gets me amped and gets me going. So, hey, and everything that Mario just said is actually exactly what today's call is all about. And it's making sure that you and I are operating in the activities and in the mindset and in the spaces that we know are going to take us forward. Okay. How many of you know that the closer we get to the end of the year and the first of the year that there's a lot of noise that starts to happen? Anybody? You got a lot of noise going on right now, right? Okay. If you're human, you got a lot of noise, all right? And so what I want to coach us to today is how do we make sure that we stay in what I call signal as opposed to noise. So we walked through this a lot this last week with Mark King, who's a personal coach of mine, and we just talked a lot. I think Felicia, you were on that call. Craig, you were on that call. We talked a lot about the difference between signal and noise and how we make sure we stay in our signal because that signal is what's going to take us forward. And how do we make sure that we put the noise to the side? But here's what I know, and Cousin Sherry, you nailed it. In education, in real estate, I think in any form of business there is, it's really, really easy to be doing all the stuff and not getting anywhere. It's easy to get caught up in activities that don't actually take us anywhere. Okay, anybody ever have the problem with activity for activity's sake? Like you're doing the activity, but you're not getting the results because maybe we're doing the wrong activity or maybe we're not doing the activity at the highest level, but yet we feel busy and busy feels good. Okay. If you've been in a room with me, you know I coach on this all the time. You and I love to be busy. We love it. We think busy is awesome. And I want you to hear me. Your busyness will drive you out of any business that you're in. Okay. It's not about being busy. It's about staying in your signal. And I'm going to coach you through this today so we understand what it means. So everybody write this down. High achievers don't wait for clarity. I want you to write that down, okay? Because I think we have to understand that we think high achievers operate at this other level and they don't, okay? They just don't wait for clarity. They create clarity. You tracking with me on this? They're not sitting waiting for clarity around what event do I need to do and how do I need to do it. They literally make sure that they create clarity by choosing the right signal and eliminating everything else. Mario, you nailed it this morning because you chose the right signal. Okay? The noise was, I don't want to get up. The noise was, I didn't sleep very good. The noise was, nobody's going to answer the phone this morning on a Monday, an expired listing. Nobody's going to do that. But you listened, Mario, today to the signal, and the signal creates clarity. You tracking with me? Mario has an $800,000 opportunity because he got into the signal and he pushed away the noise. All right? How many of us on this call, 9 times out of 10, grab the noise instead of the signal? Anybody? Just me? Yeah, there we go. Now we're being honest. Okay. Okay, so layer one, here's what I want to give you. What's the difference between signal and noise? All right. So here's the first thing I want you to just when you think of noise in our industry, what comes to your mind? Come on, let me hear from you. What noise is out there?
The
The media,
marketing's just bad.
The market's just bad. That's noise. Love it. Somebody else, give me another one. Come on now, there's a lot more than the market's bad.
Everything in the news, every lawsuits and brokerage acquisitions and all of that kind of stuff.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Lo-
The media tells a story, right? Rhett, what do you got?
The rates are too high. I'm gonna not sell till spring.
There you
Got
go.
my family members on board, etc.
That's right. That's right. Rates. Okay. Hey, we could go on and on about this. Yes or no? Okay. Let me give you how you'll know you're operating in noise because I want you to be able to identify it. Number one, it's loud. Does your day feel loud sometimes? You tracking with me on this? Okay. It's also reactive. How many of you get up in the morning and the first thing you start doing is reactive to everything around you? Okay. Everybody hear me. I don't want you to be reactive. I want you to be proactive. There's a distinct difference. Proactive is creating. Reactive is just going off of whatever is coming across your desk. Okay, you tracking with me? And so we live in this constant state of reaction and we're not getting anywhere. Noise is emotional. Okay, noise is emotional. Had Mario listened to his emotion this morning, he wouldn't be on the call. He'd still be in bed. All right. Okay. Noise is emotional. Noise is busy without traction. Noise is I'm running and I'm not getting anywhere. It's busy without traction. Noise also feels important. I want you to hear that word feels important. Okay. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is. Okay. I want to give you some things around signal. Signal is quiet. Signal is quiet. Signal lets you know, hey, no, you need to get up and go to work, right? You need to make the call that you don't want to make. You need to have the tough conversation that you don't want to have. It will quietly signal you. Signal is also intentional. You don't just haphazardly operate in signal. You intentionally operate in signal. There's a moment in your brain or in the decision process where you go, oh, I could go to the left or I could go to the right. All right. So one of the things we talked about a lot this week that I'm bringing you to the call is we talked a lot about professional sports. All right. Anybody on the call ever play professional sports? Because I want to make sure if you did, I may just give you the microphone. Okay. Would you agree there's a difference between a professional athlete and an athlete that's not a professional? Would you agree there's a difference between the athlete that gets the MVP award and all the other athletes at the professional level? Okay. Now, you can argue with me if you would want to, and I'll tell you that you're wrong. And That's my Joe Gilmore comment there. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player on the planet. Okay. I don't throw LeBron at me or anything like that. Closest to him ever was Kobe. So we're not going to debate it. I'm just going to tell you he was the greatest ever. Let me tell you why he was the greatest ever. Because every day he operated in his signal, he didn't operate in noise. There's a story of Jordan, his rookie year, okay? This guy has a shoe created for him. He has a contract with Nike. The entire future is ahead of him. And he gets invited to a party. He walks into the party, and there are things going on at that party that are not good. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. You can use your imagination, and it was probably happening. Okay. Jordan says he remembers stopping at the door and thinking, if I walk in here and participate in this, I will never achieve what I am designed and created to achieve. He had a signal. You tracking with me on this? He could have walked into the noise, which is what everyone else was doing. And instead, he walked away and he stepped into his signal. It was intentional. You tracking with me? He made a quiet decision to do something different. I'm pretty confident that worked out for him. Okay, you with me on this? So he operated in his signal instead of giving into the noise. Signal is also repetitive. All right. Go ahead and write this word down. It's also boring. It's why we don't want to do it. You with me? None of you got up this morning and said, man, I cannot wait to be intentionally repetitive and boring. Right? Like, this is going to be so much fun, Dave. I just intentionally want to be repetitive and boring and do things that are miserable to me. None of you got up and said that. I guarantee you got up in this. You pulled up your fancy phone, you started looking on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, and that's called noise. You're welcome. I'll be here all day. You're digging into the noise. This isn't moving you forward. This isn't helping your business or creating more life for you. Okay? I want you to get into your signal. Here's the last thing the signal does. It produces results. You want to win, you get into your signal. It produces results. Okay? Michael Jordan. Okay? Just go look at the stats of Michael Jordan. All right? Played in 6 different championship series, won all 6, never even got to game 7. Was the MVP in all of them. Was the MVP of the entire league. Was also the defensive player of the year in the same year. And also the holder of the scoring title in the same year. The guy operated a signal and he got results. Okay? Look at the greatest of all time. And I want you to write 3 things down about the people that operate at the highest level, the greatest of all time. 3 things are true of them. Here's the first one. Okay? They plan to win. They plan it. This isn't, I got lucky or I'm more talented. Okay? Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He wasn't the most talented, but he stayed in his signal. He didn't let the noise win, and he planned to win every single week. Okay. The second thing is they prepare to win. They don't just plan, like plan is part 1. But in order to execute the plan, I've got to prepare at the highest level. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Are you planning and preparing to the level that's going to give you the results that you desire for 2026? Because if you're not doing that now, you won't get them in 2026. Are you planning and preparing right now for the goal that you have written down in 2026? Okay. The last one is they expect to win. They plan to win, they prepare to win, and they expect to win. And then everybody write this down. Noise is demanding your attention. Signal is demanding your discipline. Noise is demanding your attention, but signal is demanding your discipline. And I don't know about you, but discipline don't come natural to Dusty. Okay? I'm just telling you right now. Okay? And can I tell you it doesn't come natural to you either? Now, some of you may be more disciplined than others, but all of us, discipline is a learned behavior. It's repetitive. It's boring. Okay? So let's talk about how we actually do this. How do we cut through all the noise and get to the key things that we know are going to move us forward? Okay. Anybody on the call know what the Pareto principle is? I know some of you do because you were on calls with me this week. Okay. Pareto principle is the 80-20 principle. Keith, noise demands your attention. It's constantly calling for your attention. Okay. Okay. So the Pareto principle, anybody want to come off mute? Tell us what it is. What does it mean? Anybody?
It's the 80-20. So that 80% of your results will result in 20% of your actions.
There you go, Keith. You nailed it. 20% of my activities is going to give me 80% of my results. Can I tell you that I get to coach agents all across the country and just people all across the country? And I will tell you that 99 out of 100 people don't operate in the 20%, they operate in the 80. They run in the 80. This is why at the end of the day, you get to the end of the day and you say things like, I was just so busy today, just busy, and you didn't accomplish anything. And it's because you're running in the 80%. You're running in the noise. And it feels good because you're busy, but you're not accomplishing what you set out to accomplish. Okay? Very few people actually get locked in on the 20%. Okay? So the question you want to ask yourself is, What activities fall in the 20% that actually move me forward? Okay. What activities fall in the 20% that actually move me forward? Mario nailed it this morning. His activity that actually moves him forward was what? Getting on the phone and having a conversation. That's always going to move you forward. If you feel stuck, if you feel broke, get on the phone and have a conversation and then have another one. Okay, you with me? You got to get focused on your revenue producing activities, the things that are going to move you forward. And it's not just revenue producing activities, team, it's also mental producing activities. Okay? I've coached you on this before. If you don't set your mind right before you even get into those activities, we're not going to operate well in the middle of them. Okay? So, how do we make sure we operate in that 20%? Your 20% is conversations, it's follow up, it's preparation, it's relationship building, right? This is the everyday, all day. This is our job. Here's what I want to coach you to. I want you to get to the 20% of the 20%. Okay? So 20% of 20% for all my math people out there is 4%. Okay? Just so you know. I mean, I did that on a calculator, Cousin Sherry, but that's what I know. Okay. 20% of the 20% is 4%. What I mean is, I want you to get even more granular in what's going to move you forward. Okay? What are the specific conversations you need to be having? On your time block, instead of saying, I'm going to lead gen for 2 hours, why don't you put the actual names of the people you're going to call? Now you'll actually call them. Why don't we put for the next 30 minutes, I'm only going to call for the next 30 minutes, and I'm going to have gratitude conversations. Now we're getting to the 4%. That's the 20% of the 20%. Okay, let me give you some examples of that. All right? It's not just lead generation, it's talking to past clients. So on my calendar, I would say for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to call and talk to past clients. That's the 4%. You with me? That's the 20% of the 20%. It's not just follow up, okay? It's called a 3-attempt approach, where I'm going to make sure every follow up I have, I get in touch with, I reach out 3 times a week until I get in touch with them. That's specific, that's intentional, that's over and over again. Okay, you with me on this? It's not just planning, everybody hear me, it's planning before emotion hits. A lot of you start planning when emotion hits. Oh, things aren't going right. We got to get a plan. Guess what? You're too late. We got to plan before the emotion hits. Okay? Now, hear my heart. I'm not saying, like, don't give up. Okay? You're not too late. You can still plan. I'm just saying we want to plan before the emotion hits. And then we want to execute the plan. That the 20% is the plan. The 20% of the 20% is actually executing the plan. You guys tracking with me on this? All right. It's not just content. It's personal directional outreach to people. You with me? General content is the 20%. You all need to be putting content out on social media. It's the world that we live in. Getting specific around it, that's the 20% of the 20%. You with me on this? Okay, now I'm really going to do some math with you now. Okay. This math right here is what separates the high achiever from those that actually don't achieve as high. Okay. The 20% of the 20% of the 20%. Okay, you with me? Run that math. All right. The 20% is here. 20% of 20% is 4%. 20% of 4% is what? It's actually 0.8. We're going to round it up to 1. Okay. And what I mean by that is, are you focused on the one thing that you know is actually going to move you forward right now in this moment? That's how you win. The decision that Michael Jordan made at that door of I can walk in or I can walk out, that's the one. That's the one thing. That's the one decision that's actually going to move my needle forward. That's the one thing that's actually going to change my life and my business and the direction that I'm going in. Okay, you with me? Here's the question I want you to ask yourself. If I could only do one thing today that would move my business forward, what would it be? If I could only do one thing today that would move the needle forward, right now, what would it be? Okay. Same thing in your life. What's the one thing I could do right now in my life that would move my needle forward? I want you to drop some of those over in the chat box, okay? Anthony Adoricio already put over there, he said 22 expired dials. Look at that. He already knows the 0.08. The one thing that I know when I do this, this is going to move me forward. Okay, you with me? Now keep in mind, I said earlier that it's repetitive, all right? And it's boring. Okay? Because Anthony can do that today, but he's got to do that again tomorrow. And then he's got to do it again the next day. Okay? Anthony, it's a great, somebody asked you a real specific question over here. Anthony, why 22?
I think he should tell everybody.
I'm calling him
Sorry.
on the spot, and there's a reason I'm
Yeah,
calling on the spot because I know he knows. Why 22, Anthony?
yeah. So that's when I reverse engineer my numbers. That's what it works out to. So I want to close 36 transactions next year. I worked with Mark King a little bit on the 135 piece last week, and he said, "Well, what needs to happen to hit your 36 transactions just in your expired category?" And I worked backwards with the numbers with him. So works out to 5,600 dials to expireds this year. So that's working 48 weeks of the year, 5 days a week. 5,600 dials will get me 560 conversations, will get me something like 85 or 90 appointments, which will get me 45 listings, which will help me sell 36 homes. So it's just a math equation based on things that I've been tracking for a long, long time. I'm not telling you to go make expireds. Your numbers might be different. This is something that I'm comfortable making and I can be consistent with it. It was the number one source of my business last year. So it will be my number one source this year, and I will layer on the other things. But I literally started that this week, and I'm on ChatGPT making a tracker right now. But like, this does not need to be complicated. Here is my current tracker. It says calls, conversations, and for the last 5 years, this is what my desk has looked like with sticky notes. Every single day, I just come in and I write calls, conversations, appointment set.
I love it. I love it. You guys with me? Hey, everything that Anthony just gave you right there is called signal. You guys with me on this? Not listening to the noise. He's not listening to what the market says. He's not listening to what interest rates are. Not listening to the media. He's going, hey, I know my numbers, and I know based on like reverse engineering my numbers and looking at where I want to go and how I'm going to get there. This is my job each and every single day. This is living in signal. Here's what I want you to know. Elite performers, okay? Elite performers, this is where they live. They live in the 0.8. They don't live in the 20%. They don't live in the 4%. They live in the 0.8. They live in the I know what I need to do today in order to move the needle forward. Okay. What's one thing in your business that is not being done today that if you started doing it today, it would radically change your business? That's the 0.8. What's one thing in your life today that you are not doing that if you were to start doing would radically improve your life? That's the 0.8. What's the one thing in your relationships? Like you fill in the blank. Okay. What's the one thing that if I start doing this, that 0.8 is going to get me to where it is that I actually want to go? Okay. It's called win the moment. When you win the moment, you win the day. Okay. When you win the moment, you'll win the week. You'll win the month, but you got to win the moment. That's the 0.8. Okay. That's the signal. So I want you to really take a look at where are you operating in your signal and where are you operating in noise. Okay. High achiever. This is why high achievers look calm when everybody else panics. This is why. Okay. Like go watch some of the greatest athletes of all time and watch how calm they are in the moment. You know what I'm talking about? Like our heart is racing, right? Pure panic of what's about to happen. And they look completely calm, completely steady, never change course. Why? Because they showed up already prepared. They've lived in the 0.8. They're not worried about if they can deliver or not. They know they can deliver. Okay, you with me? This will allow you to do less and get more. How many of you would like to do less and get more in 2026? Yeah. Okay. This is how you do that. You get to the 0.8, you identify it. All right. And this will help you stay consistent right in the middle of chaos. I don't know about you, but there's some chaos out there. All right. And I want to make sure that we stay consistent in the middle of it. I love it. Keith said I'm joining the 0.8 club. Come on. We need a t-shirt. All right. We need to, Anthony, we got to go deeper. It's not just 4%. It's 0.8. 0.8. We need a 0.8 t-shirt. Okay. Any thoughts going off the call before we jump off? Anybody at all? All right. Whatever you do today, don't live in noise. It's not serving you. Okay. Live in your signal, get to your 0.8, identify it, and go do that. Okay. Go do that one thing that's going to move you forward. All right. Hey, I love you guys. Bless you. We'll see you next week. Take care. Go invite everybody you know to this call. Let's go.